Hello, and welcome to my tutorial on how to factor a trinomial that has a equals 1. First, we have an example shown here, x squared plus 16x plus 28. And for this tutorial, we are going to show you how to do it using the x method. So, we have three terms, x squared, 16x, and 28. We call these terms a, b, and c. So to use the x method, we make an x. On top, we are going to put the c value, or 28. On the bottom, we are going to put 16, the b value. So now we need to figure out how to get two numbers that are going to multiply to get 28, but also add or subtract to get 16. So off to the side, I'm going to rewrite 28, and I'm going to list its factors. So we are going to write the numbers that multiply to get to 28. So we have 1 times 28, 2 times 14, and 4 times 7. These are the three different options we have. Now, if we look, 1 and 28, those would add up to 29 or subtract to get a 27. 2 and 14 add to get 16, subtract to get 12. And 4 and 7 would add to get 11 or subtract to get a 3. So we need a 16. So the second option is the option that we need, 2 times 14. So on the side, we are going to write positive 2 and positive 14. And those are the numbers that we will use to factor x squared plus 16x plus 28. So we're going to write our parentheses. And inside the parentheses, we'll have x in each because x times x is x squared. And then 2 and 14 will go inside the parentheses. So x plus 2, x plus 14. You can always double check to see if your answer makes sense. X times x is x squared, 2 times 14 is 28, and then to test the middle two terms, we could see if they add up to get 16x squared, or 16x. So 2 times x is 2x, x times 14 is 14x, and 2x plus 14x is 16x. Now, you do not have to go through this guess and check process because the guess and check process is already taken care of using the x method. Okay, so now we are going to go on to our next example, which is x squared plus 3x minus 54. So we will do the same thing as before. We can identify our a, b, and c term and draw our x off to the side. On top, we are going to put our c value, which is in this example, negative 54. So we have a negative 54 on top and a 3 on the bottom. So off to the side, we are going to now use 54 and list all of the things that multiply to get to 54. So those would be 1 times 54, 2 times 27, 3 times 18. Does 4 go into it? I don't think 4 goes into it. And I believe 6 goes into it 9 times. So if we look, we're trying to find out what two numbers here are going to add or subtract to get a 3. So if we go through our list here, 1 times 54, well, those definitely don't add up to get 3. And they certainly don't, so they don't subtract because 54 minus 1 would be 53. That's not going to work. So that's not going to work. 2 and 27, those are not going to work. 3 and 18 are too far apart, so those won't work. 6 and 9 are our only option left, and 9 minus 6 is going to give us a positive 3. So we're going to use 6 and 9. In order to get a 3, we would have to do a negative 6 and a positive 9. So negative 6 and positive 9 are going to be our numbers that we use to factor. In red, negative 6, positive 9. So let's go ahead and write our parentheses again. So inside the parentheses, we'll have x, and we'll put negative 6 and positive 9. Great. So now let's try another example. So the third example I have for you is x squared minus 10x minus 24. Now this one is a little different. Notice both of the signs are negative. So we will likely have to find two numbers that subtract, just like the last example. However, I chose this example because I wanted to emphasize something that can happen. 24 is what I call an evil number. Now, there are a few of these, 6, 12, and 24, are all evil numbers because sometimes when we have that in our problem, there are multiple answers that could be right. There's usually one that looks right and one that is right. So we're going to investigate that a little closer. Some other numbers that are also evil are 30, 50, 54, and 60. Okay, so these are all considered evil numbers, and we'll see why in just a second. So we are going to, again, identify A, B, and C. Now all of these, the A value is 1. We don't use the A value, if you're wondering, unless we are unless this number is something else. If this number was a 2 or a 3, then we would use this. See my other tutorial on the AC method when this number is something else. All right, so anyway, off to the right, we have an x, and we're going to put the negative 24 on top, and on the bottom, we'll put negative 10. So numbers that multiply to get negative 24. And yes, it is a negative 24, but we're not going to worry about the negative sign right now. We're just thinking of numbers that multiply to get 24. So we have 1 times 24. That's the easy one. 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6, and I believe that's it. So now we're trying to search for which of these pairs are going to give us a negative 10 somehow. So we're trying to figure out how to get negative 10 with two numbers by either adding or subtracting. So I am immediately drawn to 2 and 12 and 4 and 6. We have two options that can possibly get us 10. 2 and 12 and 4 and 6. Now, in order for us to get 10 with 2 and 12, we'd have to have a positive 2 and a negative 12. For the bottom one, we would have to have both of them be negative, negative 4 and negative 6. But which one's correct? So we have a negative 24. So 2 times negative 12 multiplies to get negative 24. Negative 4 times negative 6 would give you positive 24. So negative 4 and negative 6 do not work. So 2 and 12 are going to be our numbers. So we'll have positive 2 and negative 12 as our answers.